The perfect tea brew may be teetotaler heaven with fancy tea leaves, the right techniques, porcelain cups, and time to contemplate. Tea rituals and ceremonies have been part of culture for thousands of years. Capitalists, on the other hand, focus on maximizing profit, which could mean near slave labor on plantations, quick processing, and high prices for the final product. How can both concepts exist simultaneously? Thanks to modern science, we know that tea has important health effects, including antioxidants, flavonoids, antibacterial, and antitoxin properties. Psychological benefits can be related to relaxation and elimination of stress. Tea ceremonials can feature all of these benefits. Connoisseurs know tea must be brewed from the loose leaves, properly processed, the right water, water temperature, and correct steeping. Sophistication could mean afternoon tea at the Ritz or Waldorf, a major revenue source funded by tea loving elites. Does that suggest their superiority, or are they just tea snobs, or both? Granted, Americans might consider them tea twits. Okay, I'm not exactly a connoisseur of tea. I have a Keurig, and therefore tea for me means a K-cup of decaffeinated green tea. Happily, I don't have to deal with tea bags or more sophisticated paraphernalia. It works for me. Most people in Texas, on the other hand, seem to prefer tea with a glass full of ice and lots of sugar. The Dutch and English were motivated by money and power. Dominating markets from Chinese tea meant the typical level of ruthlessness, not a problem for capitalists. European merchant ships were armed like they would fight with Nelson at Trafalgar. Portuguese and Dutch traders first brought tea to England. The Brits, beginning with smuggled Chinese tea seeds, created a tea industry on Indian plantations. The Chinese monopoly ended. With tea drinking common worldwide, it seemed that all countries had their major tea brands, but with England positioned to go global. The major firms were Lipton and Twinings, now part of giant multinationals. Lipton seems like an American company focused on tea, but Scotsman Thomas Lipton opened his first grocery store in Glasgow in 1871 and continued to expand. Tea was an added item. Lipton had the foresight to buy tea gardens in Ceylon, now Sri Lanka, to package tea with considerable sales in the US. Lipton continued tea expansion with various new products. Lipton had plantations in Asia, Africa, and the Americas, producing some 20 different teas. Lipton is the world's leading tea brand. Like most food operations, mergers meant Lipton became part of the multinational giant Unilever, a firm with its share of accolades and controversies. Thomas Twining became a London merchant early in the 18th century, then bought Tom's Coffee House. Tom introduced fine quality teas, selling more dry than wet tea. Twining started blending teas, selling much of the dry tea to women not accepted in coffee houses. The Twining family sold considerable tea to America. Fortunately, none of this tea was dumped into Boston Harbor by the Sons of Liberty. Twinings was asked to produce the tea favored by British Prime Minister Charles Grey, who became an earl. Legend has it that the tea recipe was a gift from a Chinese mandarin whose life was saved by a British envoy. This blend proved popular with the public and became Earl Grey. The tea bag was patented in the US in 1903 and commercially sold using hand sewn fabric a year or so later. One legend claims that customers were supposed to remove the leaves from the bag to steep the tea, but leaving it in the bag was more convenient. Machines were created by 1930 to produce the bags. The modern rectangular bag now used was started in the 1940s. There are lots of tea bag alternatives. A major reason for tea's sweet success was sugar. First granulated in India some 2,500 years ago and spread west. Would the teetotalers' trinity have been successful without sugar? Next time on Food, History, and Mystery.